Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Mini Moon here, also known as Angie. It's been a little bit. I got my wisdom teeth removed, so I still have a little bit of a bruising, but the swelling's down and the pain is gone. I can eat as normal, which is the most important thing, but thank you for being a little patient. And I didn't have a video this week, so here I am filming on Friday. And I hope it's a good one because I've been meaning to talk about this game that I've been finished for a couple of weeks now, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on it. So that game is Trials of Mana. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you do enjoy this video and this type of content that's centered around like weeb stuff, anime, manga, but mostly games, then consider subscribing and joining in on the fun, and like and comment on this video if you want to. That's all I can say. So without further ado, let's get started and talking about this very underrated game, Trials of Mana. So if you don't know, Trials of Mana is an action RPG, and it's actually this specific game is a remake from the original that came out on the Super Famicom in the 1990s. So actually, I do have the original game here. I liked this game so much, spoiler alert, I really liked this game. So when I saw this at like the local retro store, it's Collection of Mana, so it has all three original titles. And this game is a remake of the third Seiken Densetsu 3. As you can tell, I really like that game, and maybe one day I'll go back and play the original just because I want to see the source material, you know what I mean? But yeah, so this is an action RPG, and I don't know if it's just me, but I love JRPGs. I'm kind of getting into them more now. But my favorite type of combat is action, and there are so many turn-based RPGs, not a lot with real-time action combat, and that's why I love Breath of the Wild so much, or games like Immortals Phoenix Rising. I really like that action combat as opposed to strategy or classic turn-based. That's not to say I don't like those. I mean, I did really like Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is obviously turn-based, but my one true love is action, and that's kind of how I found this game. It is well known, but it's definitely not on as many people's radars as some other RPGs, so it's kind of like, how did I find this one? Why did I play this one before I played like a bunch of other really iconic ones? But I think the reason is just that I was craving some good action combat, and this game definitely gave me that. I finished the main story and it took me about 30 hours. That's another reason I was gravitated towards this game, is because I didn't want to play an 80-hour RPG. I just wanted to play a nice, you know, quick experience. I don't even know what to say. This is not going to really be like a structured review because I don't know how to do those. I'm just going to be talking, you know, and sharing my thoughts as I do on this channel. I realized that I didn't talk at all about performance on the Switch, so I'm sorry about that, but I'll say it really quickly here, is that performance runs actually really well. Obviously, the one downside is that there's pretty long waiting screens, so just be aware of that. I'm all over the place. Also, play the game in Japanese. Just do yourself a favor. The English, it's a little cringe, so just play in Japanese and you're gonna be just fine. So pretty much you start the game and you have a choice between 6 characters, which off the bat I love. I love when you can choose your character, and if you can't customize your own, I like that you have a choice between different characters with different strengths, with different abilities, and with different backstories, so you kind of get to choose which one piques your interest the most. So I personally chose Reese right over here. And then on top of the main character that you choose, you get to choose 2 side characters. So I chose Angela the mage and Duran like the warrior guy. And Reese, I think she's a, what is it, like a Viking? I don't know what the word is. Maybe I'll put it on the screen if I remember, but yes. And I love the team that I, you know, put together. They each have their own different play styles, they each have their own different backstories, and it's super interesting to get a glimpse at each one. Obviously your main character is going to be the kind of like the main point of emphasis in terms of the story progression, but your side characters, you get to see kind of what their backstory is, and there is kind of like a bit of closure at the end as well. So it's definitely important who you choose and to choose who you think is most interesting. I would say that it never really gets boring because they each play very differently and you can seamlessly transition between them throughout combat. So it's really, really cool to be able to do that. And that just adds to the replayability and the replay value of this game, because you can go back and do like multiple combinations of different characters in order to get the full experience. Like I might go back to this in the future, obviously, like maybe not right now because I just finished it, but I definitely would love to go back to this game and just try out some different characters. All I've said so far is that it's an action combat game, it's not too long, and you get to choose your characters. So what is this game even about, right? Well, it's pretty much about whoever you choose it to be. So you choose your character and you get a certain backstory. What each character, I can't say that I've played them all, but out of the 3 that I played, kind of each have their own roles to like defend their kingdom, and they want to protect the world from getting destroyed, because like every classic RPG, that is the goal. So it's a classic, you know, you're the hero of the tale and you're trying to save the world because there are some evil, malevolent forces that are trying to suck out all the mana, which is the life force of this world. And yeah, you also have your own personal motives. So like for Reese, for example, she wants to rescue her brother, and yeah, Duran wants to protect his kingdom and whatever, you know, all that fun stuff. The story itself, it's nothing to write home about, all right? There's no like complex story. It's not the reason I played this game, and I don't think it's the reason anybody plays this game. It's not it's not super good. It's a 90s game. What do you expect? The stories were not super complex, but it's definitely enough to keep you going through it. And I don't know why, because usually story is like what I need in a game in order to keep me engaged, but I just enjoyed the combat and like the art style and the whole vibe of this game so much that I didn't even care about the story, although it was satisfying to progress. And let me just say, I'm not spoiling this, but I really did feel like I conquered the world at the end of this, and there's still some post-game stuff that I haven't even played yet, and maybe I'll go back and do that, but there's a lot to this game, and I would highly recommend it if you couldn't tell already. So that's kind of like the bulk of the story, and in terms of how the game is structured and how you progress throughout the story, it is very linear. So let me just say that, not a huge amount of, oh, like, I don't feel like doing this right now, let me go explore. No, it's pretty linear, but there are lots of collectibles throughout the world that you're just kind of collecting, and it really helps you in your journey so that you can get enough like money in order to upgrade your armor, and that's super fun. And just kind of finding little things throughout the world that might just give you some added benefits and might just surprise you. So definitely lots of treasure chests to be found, and I love that about this game. But in terms of like where you're supposed to go next, it's always shown to you on your map. There's always a star pointing you to the next place that you want to go to get the next cutscene and progress through the story, which is not a bad thing. Sometimes I don't want to explore an expansive world. I've done that enough in Breath of the Wild, like 200 hours plus worth, but with this game I was just not looking for that, and I didn't mind it at all. I liked the linear experience, and I liked being told where to go next instead of having to wonder for myself where I should go. Sometimes that could be a little overwhelming, so if you're looking for a more linear experience, this game's definitely got that going for you. And you're also probably wondering, like, okay, the story's not so great, so then maybe the characters are great themselves, like maybe that's what's driving the story. Like usually it's either like a character-driven story or a character-driven game or a story-driven game, and no, the characters are nothing to write home about either. I mean, obviously you like them and they're all good people, but they're not super deep. They're pretty surface level because, like I said, it's a 90s game, so there wasn't really much room to do too much psychological, like, you know, delving into people. I would say, like, obviously if you're looking for some deep characters, you're probably not going to be very happy with this what you got here, because I mean, like, everyone has their motives and their, you know, basic kind of thing, but then that's pretty much it, and you don't really get that much character interaction, just like a few things here and there as the story progresses, but it's really not that deep. It's not like you can feel their blossoming relationship. Like, it obviously mentions that they're friends, but it's not like, oh, like I've become so attached to this group, if that makes sense. Like I said, it's only about a 20 to 30 hour game, so that is really good for me because I'm not always about that grind, and this game is not super grindy. So if you're not looking for something that's super grindy, this is really good for that. Like, I didn't find myself really like grinding that much. You pretty much can't escape enemy encounters as you're going through the map. Like, there's always going to be enemies and they're always going to see you no matter what, which is kind of annoying because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to fight right now. You can escape, but they will always notice you and it'll always initiate a battle, and that's kind of annoying, but whatever, it's okay. But because you're kind of battling enemies as you're traversing to your next goal, it's not that much grinding. It feels kind of seamless, if that makes sense. You don't feel like you're, like, I have to go back and now grind until I can get to a point where I can progress through the story. Like, no, you're not gonna really deal with that as long as you're kind of like fighting the enemies as you go, like one way through. You're not gonna have to go back, whatever. You're not gonna find yourself really grinding all too much, which I really appreciate. And there's some really interesting mechanics to this game though. Like, I really liked upgrading your class. The bulk of your, you know, strengthening your character is that you do class upgrades, and pretty much like once you reach a certain level, you'll be able to upgrade your class and become like a different level, the second level to the third level to technically the fourth level if you play the post game stuff, but I haven't, so I stopped at the third level. But your characters definitely do get stronger, and that's so satisfying. And as you're leveling up, as you're beating different enemies, you're getting training points which you can allocate to different kind of like aspects of your character. So like there's intellect and there's strength and stamina, and you can allocate the training points and they'll give you new moves. And eventually, as you're progressing throughout the game and finding like the different elements, then you are going to be able to use some new cool moves, which I really like because you can have a lot of different elemental attacks. Like I said, each character is different, but I really liked Angela because she is a mage who has really diverse set of elemental powers. And yeah, so I would recommend adding her on your team. I think you're gonna have fun if you do. Reese is more of like a support character, and Duran was more of like a full-on like strength and stamina character, which we appreciate. Definitely like a good dynamic. And there's so many items that can help you that you'll find throughout the world. You'll find healing items, you'll find money that you can use to get new armor and new weapons, which was super good. As well as, I'm looking at my screen right now because I don't want to miss anything. You'll find item seeds, which you pretty much plant at your local, what's it called? Like every town, you'll go to different towns and there will always be like an inn that you can go sleep at, and you can plant your seeds that you get throughout your journey that you collect in the world, and they'll give you like little surprise things, which is always exciting to see what you're gonna get because you might just get something super good. Let's talk a little bit about the combat. Like I said, the combat kind of progression is obviously upgrading your class, leveling up system by fighting enemies, and allocating your training points. And you have flexibility with that too, in the sense that you can spend more points in one area for one character, more points in another area for a different character. And then if you play again, you can just like build your character, that same character, in a different way depending on where you're allocating the points. So I really loved that. I had so much fun. I would just like really think about, where am I going to allocate my points? It's not really totally communicated with you properly, and you're not sure where to allocate your points because you're like, wait, what difference does this make? It could kind of feel a little bit overwhelming at first, and it's not really properly communicated with you. But as you go, you kind of learn. In terms of the combat, I played in normal mode. So I'm really happy I played in normal mode because it was the perfect challenge for me. I sometimes will go easy mode, like for Metroid Dread. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing normal mode. I'm gonna do easy mode. And when I go back one day to Metroid Prime Remastered, I'm probably gonna do easy mode as well, because I I'm not some crazy like really good gamer, but I'm sorry, I need to build my confidence in myself. But anyways, normal mode is perfect because it's a good challenge, but it's not like unbearable at all. Like it's definitely solid for any kind of gamer out there. Normal mode is gonna be good for you, but I'm pretty sure there's an easy and also beginner mode. So I always appreciate when there's easier modes for people like me. And it's kind of like really easy in the beginning, and then you'll like get to a boss and you'll be like, what is going on? And it's definitely like an adjustment once you hit that difficulty spike, but you'll adjust, you'll get used to it, and then you'll be good to go for the rest of the game. There's definitely some hard bosses. I'm not gonna say there isn't. Like I definitely had some bosses that I was attempting multiple times, but it makes it fun. And there's lots of save points. Like, you know, when certain games like you won't have a save point for like, and then you do like 30 minutes and you die and you're like, you have to go back. Like, no, you won't really get that in this game. Lots of save points, lots of healing stations. You're good. I love that you can have a smooth transition between the characters as you're in combat. Like literally you can pick up one character, do a move that will buff your entire team, move on to your strong character and just go like whack, like whack them out of the way and whatever. As you can tell, this is my first ever review, so I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm just speaking from the heart here. You must be thinking, how does the game look? Does it look good? Does it look good? No, it really looks bad. No, I'm kidding. It's really a beautiful game. It's perfectly my aesthetic, which is why it drew me in. It's super colorful. You go visit different towns, different areas of the world, and it's kind of like different climates. So you'll have like one of those hot regions, one of those cold regions, like classic, you know, adventure RPG. Kind of reminds me of a Dragon Quest in that sense, is Dragon Quest 11 specifically. Like the towns kind of have like a little bit more of a medieval look, in a cartoony way, which I really like. That was like right up my alley. And you have like moments of peace between the battles and the intensities, so it definitely isn't a game that you're going to be like stressed out of your mind playing. Like it could definitely have some calming points as well, where you're just kind of like, you could definitely do some exploring, or just walking around the town, upgrading your character, just talking to people in the town. Like nothing crazy, but it's not like a super stressful game, which was kind of nice, because during school especially, like I'm a university student, so sometimes I'm not like down to come home and like play something like Metroid Dread and like, you know, have a panic attack. So this game was good for that. It was definitely like a comfort game, and I can just spend hours playing it. It did take me like a month to finish it, which I'm pretty surprised about, but I feel like I could have finished it faster if I wasn't in school. I would say though, in terms of the towns, like for the most part, like yeah, you'll go to different climatological regions, but there are like, the towns are all pretty much the same. So it's not like, I think Dragon Quest had a, like from what I've heard, I have the game, I haven't played it, but like the towns are really diverse and you'll really have different experiences everywhere you go. This game's more like, okay, you're gonna have like the same town, just different weather. But that brings us to the music, and the music is really good. Like it is a 90s game, like I said many times in this video before. You're not going to get like this amazing soundtrack that has a different song like everywhere you go. Like oftentimes you are gonna hear the same songs, but the actual music is really good, and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't getting too sick of it, even if I was hearing some songs like multiple times. All the songs were really good and definitely fit the theme of each kind of place that you were in. Definitely charming music atmosphere in this game. So overall thoughts, if you're looking for like a grand adventure type RPG with some nice action gameplay, and you're like, I don't want to play Ys 8, I don't want to play Zelda, then this game is definitely worth a go. It's not that expensive right now. I'm pretty sure it's like at least at my GameStop it was on sale for $30, so you're gonna get it like half price. Probably I would just look into it and have some fun with it. Honestly, I highly recommend it to my fellow action RPG lovers. No, but for real, like I actually had so much fun playing this game. I do want to play the post game, but I haven't been like, sometimes once I finish a game I'm just like, okay, you know, it's time to put you down. Okay, let's put it down. It's time to put you down to rest. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. And you're probably wondering, like, have I started another game since then? Because I have finished this. Like, it was a couple weeks ago that I finished it. Like, I finished it 2 weeks ago. Yes, I have started another game, and I'm actually literally like 1 hour away from finishing it, so I think that's gonna be the next video I make talking about that game, because let's just say I think it's one of my top 5 games of all time now. I don't mean to leave you guys hanging and not give you the information. Maybe if you look around, maybe you'll see a hint somewhere. It's not here or anything. Let me hide it. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of like rambly review and my thoughts overall on Trials of Mana. I think I'm gonna go back and play this game in the future for sure, and I do want to play the post game. I just have moved on, you know. Once you play a game, you're like ready to move on, and there's so much on my backlog, like I can't even begin to tell you. And I'm gonna need to make another gaming pickups video, because unfortunately but also fortunately I've added more to my collection, and I'm excited to talk about these games that I continue to play. I'm trying to finish as many games as I possibly could before Tears of the Kingdom, because once Tears of the Kingdom comes out, I'm literally gonna throw my entire Nintendo Switch collection away. I mean, I'm not gonna play anything else for a long time. I'm going to be fully invested in that game, and I don't think I'm gonna have any mental energy for anything else in my entire life. No, I'm kidding, but I will be playing that game quite a bit, so I'm like, let's finish as many games as possible before that. And yeah, so I'm almost done another game, and it's been 2 weeks. I finished in 2 weeks, but I had to do something while I was recovering from my surgery, right? So anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope that I inspired you to pick up a copy of Trials of Mana. Play it, you're gonna have fun. Yeah, I would give it, okay, if we're doing ratings, I would give it you know, like 8 out of 10, like super fun. I don't know what to say. All right, have a great day, everybody. I hope that everything is going well in your life, and I'll see you next time. Mini Moon out.